Welcome to Maddux Mondays. I miss you all so very much. So, to get started, let's go through our agenda for the week. So, this week, your work will be assigned today, Monday, and will be due then on Friday, April 3rd. We'll finally survive March. Long month. So, this week, you will have 2 Khan Academy videos to watch, plus this one. So, that makes 3 total videos. If you haven't logged into Khan Academy yet, you can check your student Gmail account and there should be information. You will get some points for watching those videos because I can see when you log in and if you watch them and stuff like that. So the 2 videos this week are strategy and early phases of the Civil War. Along with those videos, there's also some video questions. Also, today's Maddux Monday video can also be used to answer the video questions. In addition to videos, I also have some reading for you about Civil War soldiers and some weaponry. Yes, finally get to learn about some weapons and what food they ate. It was very interesting. Also, I have finished grading your essays for Chapter 12. I have left comments on the documents. So, in order to read the comments on what you need to change, you need to open up the document, and then on the right hand side, there should be like little bubbles with my comments on what needs to be changed. If you make those changes and resubmit, then I can give you some more points for that. So, if you aren't really happy with the grade that you got, you can make corrections. Okay, so next up for today, some review questions. So at the end of your video questions, there was one additional question asking if you needed something clarified, since I can't be there to ask you. This is my way to communicate. So one question I got asked was, why wasn't the Missouri Compromise successful? So if you remember, you can look at the line over here. So we have the Missouri Compromise line that divided everything, but in 1850, we get all this land from Mexico, and that line would have divided California. So it was not successful because of California. I know, surprise, surprise, California's causing problems. So it wasn't successful because of all the new land. It would cut us in half, which we really didn't want to do that to California because remember, California was the favorite child. Other question I got for review was, why did the South really want Fort Sumter? What was important about it? What advantage did they get? Well, as I've mentioned before, water is key. Sumter, then you get the Charleston Harbor, which, as you can see, then lets you access to a lot of different areas to get supplies. Okay, so remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can do it through email, through Remind, or leave comments on your worksheets. Because I can't see, this is the only way I get to try to read your mind. Okay, so next up for today, we're going to get started with some of our notes. So, we're beginning of the Civil War here. We had Fort Sumter. Lincoln waited for them. He didn't want to shoot first, so he sent supplies in. Confederates didn't really like that too much, so they technically shot first. So then that answers your question. Who shot first? The Confederates. Okay, so at the beginning of the war, the North had definitely some great advantages. They had a bigger population because they lived in cities, and they had factories that could produce resources. They also had banking systems where they can give out loans to make the businesses stronger. They also had a lot of railroad lines laid, which means they could get supplies places, which is very important, as we all know, as we are, low on toilet paper. Supplies are important. And boats. You get boats in the rivers. You can move people and supplies. Now, in the South, on the other hand, a lot of the battles were fought in their own towns and own fields, which means they knew the area. They also had strong support for the war, meaning when they rolled into town, they weren't booed. They were cheered as heroes. They also had strong military leadership. A lot of their leaders went to boarding schools, as we talked about before, that were also military training schools. So a lot of their leadership being trained since they were very, very young. Now, some disadvantages for the North is they didn't know the area they were fighting in, but it was also a disadvantage for the South because their towns are going to be destroyed because cannonballs are going to be, flying, and their crops are going to be, walked on and set on fire eventually. More to come on that. So as you can see, there's some advantages and some disadvantages. So, first battle. Fort Sumter was an attack, not a battle. Battle means everyone gets an invite basically, and they know when to show up and where to show up. So our first battle here. This is a good story, so hold on. It's July, nice warm July day in Virginia. Now, if you've ever been to Virginia, summers are not great. Now, all of them are wearing wool uniforms, long sleeves, long pants, and boots in July in Virginia. Very, very warm and humid. So they're all in their nice little uniforms, which at this time are the same because they both technically came from the same country. So their uniforms are all identical. So it was really hard to tell whose side you were on. Now, because it was the first battle, a lot of townspeople came to watch it. They brought their picnic blankets, they brought their children. They had never seen war before. Photography hadn't really captured a war prior to this. So they were excited that there was something to do. They could go outside. I know, which we all want to do really badly right now, too. So they're like, let's watch this war. Well, and then it started. Bullets were flying, people were dying. And the townspeople were a little shocked. They were shooketh. They were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is not what I thought war was. I thought war was, heroes and people saving, humanity. Well, no, it was a little crazy. And so cannons started coming out and, not good accuracy. So, yeah, small children were brought to watch a battle. That was the last time the small children were brought to watch any battle. So yeah, just imagine the shock of that going, oh, hey kids, let's go watch daddy fight. Oh, Billy, don't look, cover your eyes. So Confederates were again victorious. So Fort Sumter they got, and they also got an area in Virginia. So it shocked the North, and Lincoln was like, oh no, I need more people. A lot of people died. I'm going to need more people here, which not everyone in the North was really in favor of this war. So he's going to have a little bit of a hard time getting more people to join up. So that's our first battle, the picnic battle. Didn't go well. Okay, next interesting thing. So part of the plan, also known as the Anaconda Plan, no jokes about that, was they wanted to block off the southern ports so they couldn't get supplies. Remember, they didn't have factories, so they had to get their supplies from Europe. Remember, there's a big thing called an ocean in between. So the only ways to get supplies was boats. So he's like, you know what? What if we close off their access points? Then they can't get their shipments or their exports. Remember, at this time, the South was supplying 75% of the cotton grown in the world. So they were making a lot of money this way. And so Lincoln was like, because remember, when war is declared, the president becomes commander in chief. So Lincoln was in charge of the Union troops. He's like, we should cut off their supply chain here. So we can see you don't have supplies, you're not going to last as long. Another thing that came in, they started having ironclad boats. It means they put metal on the sides so that way the cannonballs wouldn't, destroy it. So just like when you're watching Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow's like running away on the boat and there's like all the wood breaking and stuff. Well, they're like, what if we put metal on the boats? And then that way they won't get holes in them and the cannonballs would just bounce off, which is basically what we would call almost a submarine. So cool inventions of the Civil War. Okay, so block off the ports. As we know, it's all about strategy here. This is where we also get Mississippi River coming in. So the North is like, hey, if we can gain access to the Mississippi River, we can get anywhere we want, and the Tennessee rivers. So if they could get access to these, two rivers, remember, I've told you before, all of U.S. history is about river access and the Mississippi River. So here we go again. So next we get the Battle of Shiloh in 62. Union wanted control of the railroad. See, another transportation thing, and the river. And they got it. They were successful in that. So Shiloh's up here. That's the Stones River. So river access. Very, very important. If you can find Shiloh on the map, it'll be like, where's Waldo? So you can do that during your, bountiful amounts of time at home. So look at the map, find Shiloh. Okay, so Union also captures Port of New Orleans. Oh, here we go again. New Orleans coming in. Andrew Jackson wanted it. The North wants it. Remember, Mississippi River and ocean access. Very, very important. Okay, so river access, railroad access. That was their plan. And part of the Anaconda plan then would mean you wrap around here and you close off all the ports so that way they can't get any supplies. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. The Union capital is Washington, D.C., which is our current day capital because, you know, the Union is the United States. Confederates made their own capital. And they made it so far away right here, Richmond. It's about 100 miles away from the Union capital. You know, they ran away from home very, very far. So this poses a problem that the two capitals are very close together. So just like if you ever played Capture the Flag, the middle area is the most important. So Manassas is the city name. Now, the South Confederates called battles by the city name, while the North called it by landmarks or rivers. So it could also be called Battle of Bull Run, Battle of Manassas. So you might hear or read that. So Confederate troops wanted to capture DC. Of course, the Union wanted to capture Richmond, just like in Capture the Flag. So we're also going to get another bloody battle here, Battle of Antietam. It's going to be the bloodiest day in U.S. history. Thousands of people are going to die. Now, during all this, the South was trying to be sneaky snakes here, and they were going to make a deal with the British because remember, the British had the factories. They needed the cotton, and if the South lost, then they'd lose that sweet, sweet deal. So they decided, okay, if you guys win this battle, we'll support you and send you supplies. South didn't do so well, and so the British decided not to support them. So there was almost a time where the British tried to come back. The British were almost coming, and then they didn't. Okay, so we got capitals really close to each other. In between the capitals where a lot of fighting is going to happen. Okay, next thing. Economy. I know I've been talking about this a lot, especially if you've been listening to the news. So, problem with the economy for the South, they could not supply enough, for their troops. A lot of troops went hungry and without shoes at one point. They were barefoot fighting, which would be really awkward on a battlefield without your shoes on. Since most of the fighting took place in their towns, it ruined their farms and railroads. As you can see a picture here of the train totally decimated because cannonballs were nasty and fires were started also. Southern ports were blocked. There was a shortage of goods, which means things are going to become more expensive, as we've seen in our grocery stores lately, like toilet paper. It used to never cost that much. Now, way more expensive, especially if you try to buy it on Amazon. So because of all this, the South was not doing so well. Even though it looked like they had a lot of advantages, their towns are being decimated, and this was not helping them at all. So that wraps up for our, early parts of the war. Next week, we'll get into some different phases. Okay, so next up, of course, the memes. Got to bring some memes here during these dark, dark times. We got our first one here. How's the war going? General Lee, not well, because remember, General Lee was in charge of the Confederate at this time troops, not the president. That we'll talk about a little bit later. That's Jefferson Davis. Now, the leader of the Union Army is going to be McClellan, but Lincoln's not going to like McClellan too much. So we got our other meme here with Abe. One does not simply secede from the Union. And we have our, Civil War button here. South after the Lincoln election. Bam! Civil War. Okay, I got a couple more memes for you. Are you ready? Here we go. So we got the Battle of Bull Run. No, there was no bulls here. That's just a play on words. We also have the first Battle of Bull Run. American citizens, eat popcorn, picnicking, anything. This is great fun. We can just watch them all fight. Not great. And also a colorized version just uncovered of the Battle of Antietam. Not good times. Well, I hope you guys are having fun being inside, hopefully getting some fresh air. I miss you all, and this concludes Maddux Monday. See y'all soon, hopefully.